Round 1, Meta Championship Series Global Tournament, $1,000 on the line. Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Let's see what's good. We have Ground Xeno going to be searching for a Dino plus popping one in our hand. Popping that baby, trigger the baby. Do we ash the baby? We cannot. Well, we could because we chose to not do so. All right, but we're going to toss in a Max C. Let's get to it. The in-hand trigger effects do not have trigger priority like they do in TCG. They have quick effects priority, so we would be able to chain the Ash. You actually cannot chain link block like you could in paper. But the Max C is going to get fingered. I'm not going to go on a tangent on whether the TCG rules for that is good or not. I'm sure a lot of you are sick of hearing that a million times. We're not done. We've only just begun. We're going to pop the Oviraptor, summon a Frostosaurus from the deck, and then we're going to rank 6 Xyz into the Evolzar Laris. Ain't no way that just happened. This has double negate. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you could detach 2 materials. Otherwise, if you have a reptile or dinosaur as the materials, you could detach 1 instead. So it's going to negate, then negate again. We have SP Little Knight, which is going to chain banish a card on the field. We then have Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which could flip the entire field face down, non-targeting for just the opponent. So 4 disruption we have to play through. We do have a Triple Tactics talent to help out with that. Let's go. The Evolzar could just negate the Triple Tactics talent. We're going to use one of our 4 disruptions. Lars is going to negate the Salamangreat Circle. Now, if we follow up with the Triple Tactics talent to take control, the Lars will simply negate again, just like that. Double negate on Lars, better than a Baron to floor. We did have the option to summon a Baron to floor, but we popped it to summon a level 6 from the deck instead for the double negate. Wow, very well done. We have Salamangreat of Fire. Now, this is quite a controversial card. A lot of people are saying the card's not as good as many people think because you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except fire monsters. They don't like being locked in a fire monster only. You can't summon a Masquerena. You can't go into SP Little Knight. You can't go into the Wicked. Are we playing any of that? I'm not sure. Let's go. And we're also triggering the Weasel to summon a Balinx on the opponent's side of the field, to then draw a card, to then trigger our Promethean Princess in the grave if we wanted to. Otherwise, we leave it on the field to play around popular side deck cards like Evenly Matched. You're going to play around Impermanence. And what do we have now? We have a Finger, we have Nibiru, we have Salamangreat Roar to negate anything. We have the Salamangreat Rage to pop multiple cards in the field equal to the link rating of our Raging Phoenix. We didn't want to follow up with the Will of the Salamangreat. We wanted to, I guess, maybe play around in Nibiru, see if they were going to do something, and then I guess we would trigger the Promethean Princess off of that and then maybe make further plays. So let's go. Super Polymerization right away. What exactly is this accomplishing? Does it turn off our back row completely? The Roar states that you have to control a Salamangreat link in order to activate to negate anything, but we could not negate the Super Poly. Now, what about the Rage? The Rage says if you can't target a link monster to pop multiple cards in the field, instead, you could send 1 Salamangreat from your hand to then pop 1 card in the field. So we still have the Rage. 1 Rage, 1 Nibiru. Gazelle is going to trigger, come forth and summon itself onto the field, sending a Jackal from the deck, Jaguar that is. We have Oviraptor searching our deck for our baby source as we then activate our Ground Xeno to search for a Dino to then pop the baby in the hand. We're on summon number 2. Baby source trigger, call by the grave, finger the baby, you're out of here, negate. Now Xeno Meteorus is still triggering off of a card being destroyed to come forth and summon itself onto the field. Be gone, baby, and for 2 turns, and for the rest of this turn, you multiple baby pops are no good now. And we have the Promethean Princess being triggered off of the summon of the Xeno to then summon, taking out the opposing monster plus the Garura, triggering their effect to draw a card. We also have the Raging Phoenix Reborning, turning back on our Salamangreat Roar. This is great. This states that if a face-up fire you control is destroyed, you could reborn this from the grave, thus turning our back row back on. That is a huge deal. We're going to activate our Salamangreat Rage, wiping out the Xeno Meteors before it can activate. Now they're going to be activating the Ground Xeno to Fusion Shokan with the Hander Field into the Giant Zowler. Now Fossil Dig, digging deep for nothing as the Salamangreat Roar negates. Now Fossil Dig is not a hard once per turn activation. Even if it was, another would be able to be activated because the activation was negated. We just have an Ash in the hand. Giant Zowler swinging in onto the Raging Phoenix, and what the heck was that? Salamangreat of Fire. At the start of the damage step, you can banish this card to destroy the monster you control, thus taking no battle damage, and they do not get a replay on the attack. Damn. And then we have Promethean Princess being able to reborn from the grave whatever fire we want. Come forth, Sunlight Wolf, normal summoning our Salamangreat of Fire, locking us into fire only. Now the effect locking us into fire only is now negated, so we can now go into non-fire monsters as long as we get rid of the Promethean Princess. We now have Will of the Salamangreat, special summoning from the grave, Salamangreat Gazelle, send from the deck Foxy. We got Spinny reborning from the graveyard. For sure, I'm thinking that Salamangreat has this game. We have Raging Phoenix now being summoned, triggering the Sunlight Wolf, adding back a Raging Phoenix back into the extra deck. Mirage Stalio being returned back to summon the Jack Jaguars. We then re-summon that Mirage Stalio. We return to then summon from the deck a Weasel. As we further link this up into a Sunlight Wolf, we have no care for a card like Nibiru because they have nothing left in their hand. Mirage Stalio, when sent to the grave, returning back the Giant Zowler back to the hand, opening up the field for lethal damage. We do not have 8,000 damage yet. We are going to further link this up into a Pyro Phoenix. Pyro plus the Raging Phoenix. We need some more damage still. Reborning a Balinx onto the opposing side of the field to trigger the effect of our Promethean Princess to reborn from our grave. We now have Raging Phoenix activating to come forth and summon itself back onto the field. And just like that, lethal damage. Now, doesn't Wolf say if you return the card back to your hand, you can't resummon it? But I guess because Raging Phoenix didn't go back to the hand, it went back to the extra deck. It says summoned, target a fire, return it to your hand. But for the rest of the turn, you cannot normal summon / set or special summon monsters with the added monster's name. So it's kind of sus. All right, 1 in 1. Let's go. Let's go. We just have infinite impermanence, which a single miscellaneous source will protect us from. Very interesting, as the elf is making the Dulka and Lars completely untargetable from the impermanence. So how do we negate it? Well, we have Droplet, but Droplet could get negated by Lars if we don't send a monster because Lars can negate anything. So what do? We simply just send one of the Salamangreat of Fires to then double negate, but we need to more than double negate. We have to discard at least 3 cards, also negating the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Let's do this, let's do this. Imperm first onto the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, chaining the miscellaneous source as we then use the impermanence plus 2 cards in the hand to then follow up in response to becoming unaffected to then negate the Conductor Tyranno, negate the Dulka, negate the Lars, fully negate everything except negating the Sprite Elf. Now, Sprite Elf's not going to result in disruption. It's just going to be able to reborn a level 2 monster from the grave. Now, get ready. This is going to be 1 card, Salamangreat of Fire combo. With 1 Salamangreat of Fire, what can we do? What's up? Okay, thank you. We're going to be looking at that Gia. Take note of someone has an illegal extra deck. Siljo, I'll look into that. Thank you. 1 card, Salamangreat of Fire versus a fully negated field. Add the Gazelle from the deck, further link this up into the Balinx, triggering the Gazelle from the hand to come forth and summon itself onto the field as the Balinx searches for the field spell. As Soyeon is helpless right now, just staring down a single Salamangreat of Fire play. What can we accomplish with this? Is this actually a full field wipe? Can we go? We can't go into Zelantis. That is a non-fire. It's fire monster only. We're going to Xyz into Mirage Stalio. Mirage Stalio summoned from the deck a fire as we summon our Jack Jaguar, further linking the Balinx into a wolf with the Mirage Stalio. Mirage Stalio spinning back the Sprite Elf on the field back into the extra you go. Now we're going to link off the Jaguar into the Balinks behind the Wolf to trigger its effect to add back the Gazelle and the Grave back to our hand as we further link this up into a Promethean Princess. Promethean Princess, reborn from the grave, our Sunlight Wolf, further linking this up into a link for Raging Phoenix. With the Raging Phoenix, we're going to summon a Jaguar from the graveyard as we then play our field spell to link a Raging Phoenix over a Raging Phoenix to then search our deck for a Salamangreat card. Now, normally you search for a negate here, but because we're going second, do we search for Will of the Salamangreat? We have Salamangreat Roar in the graveyard triggering to set onto the field as an Omni negate. Do we instead grab the Will of the Salamangreat, summoning multiple bodies from the grave? Instead, we're searching for a Salamangreat Circle. That's interesting. It does have the additional effect of making our Salamangreat link unaffected by monster effects. Is that the main reason why we searched it? All right, no field wipe, the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno surviving that turn. We have the ability to flip down the Jaguar, but otherwise it's no good against the Raging Phoenix. Activating Ultimate Conductor Tyranno to flip down just the Jaguar, triggering the baby we destroyed to summon from the deck Oviraptor. That's going to trigger the Promethean Princess to pop the Raging Phoenix now. With your own Balinks from the graveyard, you can protect your Raging Phoenix from being destroyed by your own Promethean Princess. Will we do that? We're also going to affect Valor onto the Oviraptor with no miscellaneous in the hand, and this is where we see a side deck card, Anti-Spell Fragrance, where both players must set their spells before activating them, and they're no good for 2 turns. Promethean is now here, Oviraptor successfully negated, Raging Phoenix being triggered to reborn from the grave at 5,600 attack. Now, the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno can attack every body in the field, and as the miscellaneous source then gets negated, banishing 4 cards in the grave to summon from the deck, Salamangreat Roar negates. Giant Rex triggered off of being banished, summoning itself onto the field. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno sending through its card effect to deal 1,000 damage and also wiping out the Promethean Princess as we then main phase 2 into an SP Little Knight. Now, SP Little Knight cannot banish the Raging Phoenix because we didn't use an extra deck monster to summon it. As we're just going to set an anti-spell and this is really desperate. So the main counter to SP Little Knight is simply don't activate anything, just attack. But that's maybe the purpose of the SP Little Knight, is to not get lethal. Just eat up the battle phase and survive for another turn. Off the top of the deck, we got Spinny. We're going to link the Raging Phoenix into another Raging Phoenix. We do not care about the SP Little Knight banish, as it's then going to activate to banish itself plus the Raging Phoenix. We're going to chain Gazelle, summon onto the field, as the Raging Phoenix is then going to become unaffected by the SP Little Knight through the effect of Salamangreat Circle. Now, we talk a lot about how this, very royal and nice, looking great, wow. This needs to banish itself plus another card, or the 2 cards it's banishing. It has to do both, but if the monster's unaffected, it will still attempt to banish the other. Thus, it's going to leave the field, giving Salamangreat an open field to attack into. Gazelle come forth, goodbye SP Little Knight, as we then add a Salamangreat Wolf from our deck to our hand. At 5,800 life, we just need 1 more body. We could be fearing that set Anti-Spell Fragrance and maybe a Nibiru. No, we are not. Just like that, lethal damage, Salamangreat advancing into round 2 of the $1,000 MCS tournament. Damn, that was good. We have Bonfire, which is the #1 opener for Rescue Ace. We have Contain, negate a monster, Extinguish, pop a monster. We have Preventer, which will be summoned from the deck to flip a monster face down. We have SP Little Knight to banish an opposing monster. We also have Super Poly to fuse the field. We have 5 disruptions with no Promethean in the grave. Let's go. All right. We're going to start. Whoa, holy moly, look at that animation. Engaging a Hornet Drones from the deck to our hand, summoning a token onto the field. All the Sky Striker cards are not a hard once per turn. They simply can be activated if you have nothing in your main monster zone. Come forth and summon into Kagari. So with knowing that, we're going to add back the Hornet Drones to activate again. Now Contain will contain the Kagari, negating her effect from adding back the Hornet Drones. We're going to chain Shark Cannon so that we can then follow up with Forbidden Droplet to dodge the Contain to then negate the SP Little Knight on the field. Now, by being forced to use the Droplet early, that has our Preventer, which would summon from the deck, dodge the negate. We're just negating SP and dodging a negate. So from 5 disruptions, we now have 4. And the Kagari will go through, grabbing back that Hornet Drones. Negate Turbulence. Turbulence being negated is also decent. And we also have the Shark Cannon, because there's 3 spells in the graveyard, including itself being sent to the grave, is able to now steal the opponent's Poplar, triggering its effect to grab a Divine Temple from our own deck. Ain't no way. Steal cards in the mirror match with the Shark Cannon. We're going to set up an Oak into the back row, link this up into Link Karibo. What do we have with our 3 disruptions, actually? We have Extinguish, we have Preventer, and we have Super Poly, because SP Little Knight was negated and Contain was used. We're still going to activate the SP Little Knight. It does not banish as a cost. We're going to chain Super Poly, fusing with the Dark. Now, the Dark needs to summon a Dark monster to where it's pointing to, and if it's pointing to nowhere, there's no summon. We now have Moo Dragon, thus we have 2 more disruptions. Very nicely done. Goodbye to the Dark. And I'm thinking a card like Ogre may be more popular in today's event, because Ogre against SP Little Knight could stop her from banishing. We're going to be grabbing a Birch with the Ash. We're now going to emergency summon from the deck our Preventer. Preventer get Prevented, flip that Ash face down before the Birch could special summon, because you do require a fire monster in order to summon this from the hand. We're going to tribute the Ash for the Link Karibo from our graveyard. We now have 1 Extinguish. 1 shot, 1 play, 1 opportunity. When are we going to Extinguish? Well, Extinguish could be used on a card like the Flamebirds, which would stop it from activating the grave. But unfortunately, the Diablo Star discarded it from the hand before it could even hit the field. Thus, it's triggering the effect we should have been able to stop with the Extinguish. Activate Rescue. Rescue from the opponent's graveyard, the Oak. Nicely done. So with the Rescue, because we control a Hydrant, we could steal the opponent's monster that they wanted to summon from the grave. Very good, very good. Flame Burge is resolving with no effect. That's crazy. You have to summon 2. So summon 2 level 1s. We had 2, now we only have 1. We don't even summon 1, we summon none. So very well done with that Rescue play. Poplar resummoning from the graveyard through the effect of the Oak, activating to search our Subversion to push a monster back during the next turn. You now have Hida. Hida's going to steal a fire monster from the opponent's graveyard. Is this when we use our Extinguish? When are we extinguishing? Now is when we extinguish that Hida. Now, Hida, when destroyed, would search, but the Extinguish will stop it from activating. No stealing of my Turbulence and no activate. We're going to Original Sinful, send Kagari to summon from the deck a Poplar as we further link this up into a Masquerena. I'm smelling a Promethean Princess. Come forth, Promethean, as we then reborn, I believe, our Flameburst from the grave. Yes, Flameburst is here with the ability to push a monster on the field or in the graveyard into the back row. We're going to activate Moo Dragon, calling red, fire, red. So red monsters cannot be targeted, and they're all red. So what do? We're going to have to target a card in our graveyard instead. We're going to target the Link Karibo. What the heck is that? Link Karibo is going to jump itself onto the field, tributing off the Poplar to reduce an opposing attack to 0 attack. Why not use this opportunity to push the Masquerena into our back row? Interestingly, we're going to now go into a Raging Phoenix. Raging Phoenix going into a World Sea Dragon Zealantis, banishing the entire field. Is this lethal? There's no way this is lethal, right? How could this be lethal? We're stealing. We banished the opponent's Oak, which was our Oak, so the Oak comes to our field. We're going to trigger Promethean. We're going to trigger the Raging Phoenix. We're going to be able to pop 2 cards on the field. Do we have game? Is this enough? Can we wipe out the entire field? The Oak, oh my gosh, I cannot freaking believe this. Oak is also triggering to reborn. Promethean Princess is popping the Oak. We could pop the Link Karibo. This is actually game. This is actually game. Ain't no way this is game. Raging Phoenix is going to summon from the graveyard. Wait, Preventer is preventing the lethal damage, I believe, at 1700 defense. Maybe we don't have game now. If it weren't for the Lifter being summoned off the Preventer, and we didn't trigger our Raging Phoenix, which would have been summoned to have game, as we have Promethean linked up with the Zealantis to pop 2 cards on the field. So we're not even using the effect. Attack number 1, attack number 2. Oh my gosh, we just held it. And then within the battle phase, we're going to pop 2 cards. We are popping our own Promethean. How big is that Phoenix? They're at 5,500 life? Huh? Lethal damage, exactly. What? Wow. Held on to the Raging Phoenix, summoned it for exact lethal. Very well done, trap plays. That was crazy. Nihilus is going to be grabbing our Airlifter, discard Airlifter to summon our Diablo Star. We're going to speed this up since the opponent has no disruption whatsoever. We're going to set up our Seeker, Emergency Summon for the deck, the Turbulence, sending our Hydrant on the field to then set 4 cards in the back row. Now, this is when the Rescue Ace player feels like they automatically won. If you resolve a Turbulence, generally, your win rate probably skyrockets to 80% plus. As we then link this up in a Masquerena, another side deck card is the Phantasme. If your opponent special summons a Link monster, you then special summon this, and then you're going to draw cards equal to the number of Link monsters the opponent controls +1. And also, if your opponent activates a card that would target a monster you control, you could discard a card to negate. So that's pretty good. We could negate something like a Flameburst trying to target us. We could negate something like a Promethean Princess trying to target us. Let's go, let's go. So with our disruptions, we have Contain, Extinguish. We're going to have a way to get Preventer out. We have triple disruption plus the Masquerena, and I'll even add the Phantasme as potential extra disruption. 5 disruption. Within the draw phase, we're going to rescue our Hydrant from the grave. Now, we got to be careful about that card, Triple Tactics Thrust. As soon as we activate a monster effect, they're going to be able to thrust any card into their hand that is a normal spell. We're going to activate Seeker of Sinful Spoils, grabbing our Diablo Star from the deck here. Diablo Star, discarding to come forth and summon, activate to set from our deck an original Sinful, to summon an Ash or Poplar from the deck. We're now going to alert through the Hydrant being on the field, adding an Impulse from our deck to our hand. Now, in response to a monster activating on the field, we could summon any Rescue Ace from the deck. Original Sinful with the Ash Blossom check, summoning a Snake Eye Ash from the deck. That's going to trigger the Impulse. Not trigger, but we could chain to it. We're also going to contain the Ash. So this chain link order is important. You have to be the direct chain link to the monster effect in the field, and then contain can be used whenever to negate the Ash, but we could dodge the negate through a card like Enemy Controller. Enemy Controller will chain tribute, taking control of the Hydrant, which is targetable, or the Masquerena. That's exactly what we're doing. Take control of Masquerena. We're going to have to chain Masquerena. Thus, we are, in addition to the Impulse, playing into the Triple Tactics Thrust. We're going to chain Droplet in response to the Masquerena activating. So we're taking a negated Masquerena. Now, while the effect is negated, we're not using the effect anyway. It's still going to give us the destructible protection effect, which will help us protect against something like Extinguish if we were to link with that negated Masquerena. Negate. Take control, mate. Dodge the Contain, Impulse Summon from the deck. We now have a Preventer to flip a monster on the field face down. As we then resolve the Ash, adding a Poplar, trigger Poplar, summon itself onto the field. We may want to use our Change of Heart now. Change of Heart, take control of the Preventer as we cannot target the Hydrant. First, we're going to set up the Divine Temple, setting up a Flame version to the back row. As you then link this up into Link Karibo. Phantasme is being triggered. We're going to draw 3, return 2 back in the deck. Now, if you target any of our monsters through the effect of Change of Heart, now it's too late. You waited on Change of Heart, so now we can negate Change of Heart with our Phantasme. We have Preventer flipping the Flameburst face down, as we then use the Seeker of Sinful Spoils to return back the original Sinful to draw 1. Change of Heart, target, Phantasme, discard, negate. As soon as you summon a Link monster that triggered the Phantasme to summon onto the field to negate your Change of Heart. But we're not done. We could be playing another copy of Change of Heart, which we could grab with Thrust. Did we side deck in 2? Probably, right? Into a Triple Tactics Talent instead. Triple Tactics Talent, we're going to draw 2 cards instead of taking control. Come to us, Bonfire, and Engage. We're going to see some crazy Sky Striker plays. Well, we actually can't activate it because we got main monster zone monsters on the field. We have to clear it all up before we could even use it. We now have Hida. Hida can reborn a fire monster from the opposing player's graveyard. We still have the Extinguish activatable. Otherwise, we have nothing besides that. Extinguish the Hida. Hida will not be able to activate in the graveyard to search for a fire monster. Thus, you also do not summon my Turbulence. What else we have here? We're now done. We're out of disruption. We have nothing left. We are wide open. Flameburst is going to push the Preventer into the back row as we choke on a Promethean. Are we just Zealantising again? It's that consistent. You can consistently lethal the opponent with Zealantis, Promethean, with the Raging Phoenix, just like that. All you need to do the combo is a Zealantis plus another fire monster, and you have game. That's it. Zealantis plus 1 fire. It used to be Zealantis, Fire, and a Flameburst. You no longer need the Flameburst because of the Raging Phoenix, and you now have 8,000 damage plus pop 2 cards in the field. It's a bit broken. And we have more than enough for lethal here. Raging Phoenix, come forth and summon. Link off into Zealantis. And as I said, we would only need one other body. We have 3 extra bodies. Banishing the entire field, return the entire field back onto the field. Double Flame Burges here. Come forth Zealantis, come forth Snake Eye Oak. We're gonna pop the Oak plus an opponent's monster on this special summon. Come forth and summon. Even though it's face down, we can still target it. We're gonna Link Karibo, dodge our own pop with our Promethean Princess. And just like that, wipe out the entire field, full open field, lethal damage, over 11,000 damage. We have Nightmare Phoenix too. What are you doing here, mate? What are you BMing? All right, taking out the Hydrant. The Phoenix is making co-linked cards indestructible by battle. And just like that, 10,000 damage for game. Both games. Zealantis, Raging Phoenix, lethal, where we didn't even have to do the Raging Phoenix there. So very well done, good job. You could hold onto the Raging Phoenix to instead pop your own card with the Zealantis, then trigger it. Very well done with Trap Plays. Nihilist, thank you for also playing in the tournament, my friend. Let's hop into another duel. Bonfire, Ash is not negating. I do believe you don't negate Bonfire, you save it for the original Sinful. I think that's way better, because if you negate the Bonfire, they have a follow-up of the Diablo Star or the Wanted Seeker. They're gonna play around your Ash easily. Now, we're going to be making a Hida, or we're going to be adding into the graveyard our Promethean Princess, possibly. Prevent to send to the grave, reborning a banished monster as we then make a Masquerena. Hida stealing the opposing player's Ash Blossom as we then Shokan this up into a Promethean Princess. Masquerena is another form of disruption, and the Promethean is another form of disruption. We have 5 disruption. 5 ways to stop the opponent through the Masquerena, Promethean, the Extinguish, the Contain, and the Preventer from the grave to flip a monster face down. And we have to play through 5 disruption against a max freaking C. Disrespecting the Gamma. Nope, not playing around Gamma. We're just gonna go all in just like that. Surrender, may as well not even reveal what we're playing. And I would think maybe for game 2, them not knowing what you're playing unless you're famous in the community for playing a certain deck, they're not gonna know what to side deck against you. What is good? Burner's gonna discard a dragon to summon for the deck. Nothing as the Ash negates. Now in the graveyard, Tempest could banish from the hand or grave dragons and or wind, but we don't have a dragon or wind in the hand. We only have 1 dragon in the grave to banish. Thus, our turn has completely been stopped by a single Ash. Ain't no freaking way. And as I was thinking, turn 2 cards like Harpy Feather Duster we'll be seeing within game 2. Unfortunately, Rescue Ace also bricked, not having any good plays. Finally, we drew into a wind or dragon monster as we banished to come forth and summon from the grave our Tempest. We have Ash Blossom negating. We have the Finger negating the Ash itself, not even bothering to negate the Tempest, allowing that Tempest summon. Are they going to regret fingering the Ash over the Tempest? Let's find out. And now your own Ash, if you draw a new one, is also going to be negated for the next turn. To battle we go, 2400. That is all we could accomplish there. No big plays, no armed dragon. This is devastating for Heartbreaker. He's down 1 game already. Off the top of the deck, we have an Airlifter, which is a 1-card combo play. We do have Max C, and the opponent has no way to stop it. So Heartbreaker has to hope that the opponent is not going to overcook into lethal under the Max C. How many special summons could they threaten lethal with? We're going to go straight into Turbulence and the turns from the hands to the grave. The emergency must summon the monster into defense, so it's not going to give us that extra damage. Setting up from the deck are multiple back row disruptions. Contain, negate, extinguish, get poppin', rescue, reborn from the grave, emergency, summon from the deck. That's going to be 3 disruptions, and we're ending right there. We don't even have room to set our droplet. We overset from the deck. We have Super Poly to fuse the field. We have Preventer to flip, extinguish to pop, contain to negate. We have 4 disruptions mate as the Tempest then adds back to the hand during the end phase. We now have a Blaster. What can we do? Nothing? Oh my gosh, we need Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom got fingered, so she's gone. She can't be banished alongside Tempest to summon the Blaster. So that finger on Ash has screwed up our play. Blaster can't be used, Tempest can't be used. I can't believe this. Heartbreaker, I'm so sorry. This breaks my heart. This is crazy. We just ended our turn. Max C in the end phase in response to the rescue as the emergency then chain summons. So they draw one less card here. And we're maxing in our own end phase. You understand that? We have given up. Heartbreaker, I appreciate you. Everyone here loves you. We all know you got really unlucky here. This is just unfortunate. This is what happens. The corridor off the top of your deck could have at least summoned a Colossus onto the field. Ain't no freaking way. And super poly for game. Just like that. M Coops with Rescue Ace eliminating Armed Dragon from the tournament. Lethal damage. All right, damn, Heartbreaker, Heartbreaker. Redo, that match did not count.